Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Habib Ali and I am an ICT tutor by profession. So welcome back to another lesson. In today's lesson we are going to be learning about how to link data and add up cells which are present across a different spreadsheet, and how to create links between cells and data across different spreadsheets. So this lesson is all about how you can use different spreadsheets or workbooks to add up cells and create links between cells. Okay, so in this lesson, I'm going to be using two different workbooks. The workbook you're looking at the moment is called Results on a New Workbook, and I have one tab here called Results, and this is where I am going to be consolidating the data and the answers for the sales and the costs which I have made. However, the information I will be using is from a different workbook or a spreadsheet. Now, I'm just going to show you where I'm going to get this information from. So this is the workbook is called Links. Now this links spreadsheets I did use in the previous lesson number 49, and in the previous lesson we had a results worksheet here at the beginning, and I used this worksheet to add up all the sales and the costs that we made over the three different divisions, and the answers were present within another worksheet in the same workbook. So that was lesson 49. Now in today's lesson, the idea is to use the information from this spreadsheet called links and add up all the information and consolidate onto a different workbook called Results on a New Workbook. Now you can see I have only one tab here called Results, and I'm going to be adding up the sales that was made over the three different divisions. Now remember, I am going to emphasize this quite often in today's lesson. The information is going to be coming from a different workbook called Links, and the three divisions that we are discussing is present on this workbook, as you can see here: North, South and Mid, which is for Midland. Now I'm just going to take you to today's question before we go any further. So let's have a look at the question. The question is asking us to add up sales and costs for January to April across the North, South and Midland divisions to work out the overall profits for each month from the links spreadsheet. So that's just exactly what I explained just a couple of minutes ago. The second part of the question is in cell H2 of the results worksheet, link the data of cell H2 from the North worksheet of the links spreadsheet again. So again, a different workbook. Now I'm going to take you back to results. Now before I start, I'm just going to show you, just for your understanding, that these are the two workbooks I am going to be using for this lesson. On the links workbook or spreadsheet, it contains all the cells that I will be adding up, and on the results worksheet, this is where the actual answer will be going as a result of me adding up cells which are present in this workbook called links. Okay, so before we go any further, the first and the most important thing, if you are going to be linking data across different spreadsheets, it is very important that you have both of the spreadsheets open before you start creating any links. Otherwise, it does not work and creates a lot of confusion and a lot of hard work, which is unnecessary. You can avoid all of that confusion simply by having those relevant spreadsheets open before you make a start on the formulas or functions or creating any links between them. I have already got them both open, as you can see here. Now for your benefit, what I'm going to do is just resize them both so they fill up my screen, one on the left hand side, one on the right hand side. On the left hand side is the results workbook, which the answer is going to go onto, and on the right hand side this is the links spreadsheet, which is the one I'm going to be using to get the cells that I am going to be adding up, and they have the answer on this workbook here on the left hand side. Okay, I'm going to be showing you again, just like in the previous lesson, lesson number 49, I'm going to be showing you two different methods of adding up cells from a different workbook. So let's make a start on the first method. The first method we will be using is the plus operator, the actual plus sign, to add up all the sales that was made for January across North, South and Midland division. Okay, so let's make a start. We start with equals. Once you've put your equal sign in, you then go to your other spreadsheet where you're adding the cells from, and you simply click on that cell. So in this case is C6. I'm just going to go ahead and click on C6. Now if you keep an eye on the formula bar, it will tell you what it is doing, and I will explain this to you once I have completed this formula. So once I have done that, I then press the plus sign. I then go to the South worksheet on the other spreadsheet. Remember, this is the one I'm adding from. And then I go to C6 for that one, for the January sales. The reason I am going to C6, please do understand that because this is where the January sales is made for each of the division. So once I've done that, I press the plus sign again. And then I go to the Midland worksheet and click on C6 again. And once I have done that, this is the end of my calculation. Now at this point, it is very important that you do not click on any other link and press enter to get the answer. So I'm just going to press enter on the keyboard, and it will take me back to my answer here for January sales on the results worksheet of this workbook to consolidate my answer. Okay, so here we are on this results workbook. Now I'm just going to maximize this window, and we're going to have a quick look at the formula bar and see if we can discuss this and understand it totally. Okay, so you can see between each of the plus sign in the first part here. So I'm just going to highlight this for you so we can discuss it. So in brackets is telling you the name of the workbook or the spreadsheet. So in this case is links, because as you remember, I did say to you links is the spreadsheet where I am getting the information from. So in brackets, this is what it's telling you. That's the name of the workbook or spreadsheet. Okay, and then after that, North is the name of the worksheet which is present on this workbook called links, and then C6 is the cell reference which I have used to get a value from. So that's one part where I got one value from the North worksheet which is present in the links workbook. And then if you look at the second part, is very similar again from the links workbook, but this time from the South worksheet, but the C6 is the same cell reference on this particular worksheet. And then finally from the Midland or the mid worksheet, which is again present in the links workbook, but again we're using C6 to get the value because C6 contains the sales figures for January for each of these division, one for North, one for South and one for mid. So this is what your formula will look like when you are linking workbooks and trying to add up cells which are present across multiple worksheets within another different workbook. So I hope this makes sense. it does initially look like there's a lot of information. It looks confusing, but I hope I have made you understand this now, as I have broken down each of these sections. Okay, I'm just going to press enter. Now, naturally, I would be tempted to replicate this formula across for February, March, and April to save myself some time. Now, what do you think? Will it work? Having a look at this formula in the formula bar, is there anything present that you think it may not work as a result while I replicate these into the other months? Just give you a second to think about that before I give you the answer. Okay. You've had a minute to think, or a few seconds to think. Well, let's replicate this across and let's see what happens. We may learn from this few seconds. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's giving us some answers, but all answers seem to be identical. That cannot be right. It cannot be right, surely. Have you worked it out? Okay, let's have a look at in the formula bar again. If you look at C6, now it's got dollar signs. Now, what does dollar signs mean? Dollar signs, if you remember from our lesson all about absolute cell references. Now, if there are dollar signs before your row and column, in this case C6, it means this particular cell reference is an absolute cell reference which will not change if I was to replicate across or down. So because is absolute, is fixed C6 for each one of these, hence it has not changed to the next one as I replicate across. Therefore, all the answers for all across the 4 months is the same. And that is totally wrong. So what we need to do before we replicate is make this cell reference into a relative cell reference by removing the dollar sign before the C and before the 6. All you have to do is click anywhere in the formula bar within C6 and simply press F4. If you press F4 once, you'll get rid of one of the dollar sign. If you press it again, you'll get rid of the other one. One more time is get rid of both of them. So do the same thing for this one as well. Keep pressing F4 till you get rid of the dollar sign, or you can manually just click where the dollar signs are and press backspace or the delete key on the keyboard if that's what you prefer. Once you have got rid of the dollar sign, just check very carefully. C6, there's no dollar sign, there's no dollar sign here, and there's no dollar sign here. Press enter, and let's replicate this again one more time all the way across, and let's see if it works this time. Do you think it will? You agree with me? I'm happy to hear that. There we are. Now each sale for each of the month is now different. Most likely this is correct this time. Now, by all means, if you do feel you want to do each one of these manually by typing in or by using the full formula for each one for practice purposes, by all means, please do this. It will be a very good idea for you to practice at this early stage of learning such a new skill. But I've used the replicate process just to save myself some time. Now that's the first method of adding up cells across different worksheets which are present, remember, in a different workbook. I'm working on the results on a new workbook, but the information of the cells value I got is from this workbook called links. Now the second method that I'm going to be showing you is using the sum function. Now again, it's similar to lesson 49, but this time we're adding up the cells, remember, which are present on a different workbook. Okay, so we press the equal sign. You can either type it in or you can use the auto sum. This time I'm going to type it in. So equal sum, open brackets, close brackets, and then everything I'm going to do is in between the brackets. Please keep an eye on the formula bar. So once I have done that, I then need to go to the workbook where the cells are present that I'm going to be adding up. Now remember, this time I am adding up the costs, not the sales, the costs for all three divisions: the North Division, the South Division, and the Midland Division. So I want to add up the costs for each of the month. Okay, so what we need to do once you have done that is click on the North worksheet. Once you've clicked on the North worksheet, you will see that, keep an eye on the formula bar, everyone, because this is where you will get to see what's going on. Once you've clicked on the North worksheet, you need to hold down the Shift key, not the Control key. The Control key will not work, so hold down the Shift key. And because this is our range, all I have to do is I don't need to click on the South worksheet because I'm including this one, and the range ends after Midland. So all I have to do is use my mouse and click on Mid, and by doing so, it will automatically include the information that I need from all three worksheets, because this is my range. This is the first one, this is the last one, and this is in between. In this example, there's only one, but in a real life example, you can have as many worksheets as you want in between. Now let's have a quick look at the formula bar so far. So you can see equal sum. Then you've got links, which is the name of the workbook that I am using to add up these cells. And then after that, I've got a North, which is this worksheet here. And then I've got colon, which is representing everything in between. And then I've got Mid, which is the last worksheet in my range. So this is the range, please remember. Once you have done that, all I have to do is click on the January costs, which is C7. And once you've clicked on C7, please do not click anywhere else, because this is the end of your sum function. All you have to do is press enter, and the answer will be accepted in this cell here. So I'm just going to press enter. There we are. So I'm just going to click there. Let's have a quick, again, just a final chart. Equal sum, the links workbook. Remember, this is the links workbook. And then the North worksheet all the way to Mid worksheet. This is our range. And then we need to add up the value C7 in each of these three worksheets. Remember, C7 is going to be used from North, from South, from Mid. So three cells are being added up using this sum function, and the answer is present on this workbook, but the information is coming from this different workbook. Now, once I have done that, again, I'm just going to maximize this window here. Now, I'm going to replicate across. So I'm going to replicate across. Do you think it's going to work? Is there anything you want me to change before I replicate? I hear you're saying something about this. So you could be right, because I can see dollar signs again. So this C7 cell reference is an absolute cell reference, so it may not work. Well, let's have a go and let's see what happens. So click and drag, remember the bottom square, all the way across. Now, yes, all the cells are giving me the same answer, 11,500. That cannot be right. So you are spot on. We need to remove the absolute cell reference from C7 before we can replicate across. So again, just click in the formula bar anywhere on C7 and just press F4 once, twice, and the third time it gets rid of all the dollar sign, or you can manually delete them, whichever you fancy and is easier for you. Once you've done that, press enter, and I'm going to replicate again, but this time it will work. Look at that. Now we have different cost for each of the month with a different value, which is correct. Now, by all means, again, you can do each one of these individually. Again, for practice purposes, the more you practice, the better you will understand, and the better understanding and knowledge you will have as an overall. Okay, so that's how we use different cells from different worksheets which are present in a different workbook. Let's have a look at the question and see what we have answered so far. So adding up the sales and costs for January to April across the North, South and Midland divisions to work out the overall profits for each month and the links spreadsheets. Well, we have done that because the profit is automatically calculated for us as we calculate or consolidate the sales made across the three divisions and the costs that incurred by the three divisions. The profit is worked out automatically simply because I've already created a simple subtraction formula there. So the profits were automatically calculated and filled in for us. Now, before I move on to the next part of the question, I just want to show you that when you use linking between different workbooks and then you close one of them, so let's say I'm going to close this links workbook. So I'm just going to click on X just to close it. I'm not going to save those changes. I'm just going to say don't. Now if you look at the formula bar, it looks crazy. It has added up a lot of information that was not present there just a second ago. So what has happened? Oh dear. Well, guess what? It's nothing to worry about or be alarmed about. Nothing wrong has happened. All it is simply because I closed the workbook which I was using to add up the cells from and to get this answer on this workbook. Excel has realized that that particular workbook is now closed. Now, as a result, somehow Excel needs to maintain the link between the two workbooks. So what it has done, it has included the actual file path. Now, I'm just going to highlight this part here for you. It has added the file path as to where this workbook is saved into. So, if you have a look at this file path, is saved in the C drive, in users, in a folder called Habib, on the desktop, inside another folder called video tutorials level 2, another folder called exercise answers for video tutorials. So this is simply the file path of where this particular workbook or the spreadsheet is present. Excel does that automatically, so please do not worry about this file path. However, if you go back and reopen, so I'm just going to open the links workbook again and take you, just going to restore this to the size so you can see both side by side. Oopsie doopsie, just gonna do this. There we are. So now that this workbook is open, you can see the file path has disappeared because Excel doesn't need to know that anymore as this workbook is actively open, and all it needs is the actual name of the workbook within the formula bar. And similarly, in the second method, the same thing will happen as well. If you close this workbook, Excel will simply, just after sum, just here, it will include the file path. So please don't worry about this. It's quite normal. And again, I think it's an exciting part for you to see this happening and then being able to understand as to why this is happening. It's an amazing, good piece of knowledge to have. Okay, finally, I'm just going to take you back to the question, and just to answer this one, that in cell H2 of the results worksheet, link the data of cell H2 from the North worksheet of the links spreadsheet. So in the results workbook, now remember, this is one workbook, so just up here in H2, we want to link the data which is present in a different workbook. So I'm just going to Open the links. Now from the north worksheet, this cell here, H2, this one here where my name is present, we want to link whatever information is in this cell to be present in this cell here, H2. Now all I have to do is equals. Now once you've pressed equals, you simply go to the workbook where this cell is. So in this case, it is links. And then I click on H2 of this workbook. Please keep an eye on the formula bar, then you will see what's going on. When I press H2 here, and then simply press enter to accept, it takes me back to this original workbook where the answer is going into, where I started by typing in the equal sign. Now if you have a look here now, Habib Ali is present automatically because look at the formula bar. It's taking this contents of this cell from the workbook called links, and from the worksheet called north, and from the cell cell address H2. So whatever is present in this cell, it will automatically be updated in this cell. So if I go and change, let's say I'm going to go back in the links worksheet and I'm going to change my name just to, let's say, Jason. I'm going to change it to Jason. Jason is the new manager. If I press enter now, the information on this workbook should change automatically. Let's have a look. Pressing enter now. There we are, and there you go. So Jason is the new manager and it changes automatically. Why? Because we have an active valid link within different workbooks and different worksheets of a particular cell. So this is how we do linking between different workbooks and using different worksheets as well. I've demonstrated to you two methods that you can use. You can use the actual plus operator to add up different cells which are present within different worksheets from a different workbook. Or you can use the sum function method, which is a lot shorter. I think is a lot easier as well, so I recommend you get used to this idea. So the sum function is the second method which you can use to add up cells which are present across multiple worksheets which belong to a different workbook. Please remember that. So I hope all that was clear and easy for you to understand. If you still do have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section. And do let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible and clarify things for you even further. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, so please do give us a like and share this lesson and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so, and I shall see you over in the next lesson. Until then, please do take care of yourself and goodbye.